Tonight on 7 News Tasmania, a warm welcome for our homecoming queen. The Danish royals save the best for last. A jam-packed schedule takes the king and queen on a tour of the best of Hobart. Also tonight, political tensions flare over potential cuts to jobs and courses at TasTAFE. Donald Trump's patience with Israel wears thin after an airstrike on the world's largest gas field. A federal plan to rein in skyrocketing fuel prices. The Prime Minister hopeful the end of the war is near. And Queensland braces for wild weather. A monster cyclone closes in on the far north.
This is 7 News Tasmania with Kim Millar.
Good evening. Tasmanians have just had the opportunity to come face to face with homegrown royalty. Queen Mary and King Frederick of Denmark taking to the Hobart waterfront to meet thousands of admirers. Tonight marks the final leg of their official Australian tour, and it was all on familiar territory.
A royal welcome fit for a queen, our queen.
But we couldn't miss this opportunity.
Hobart, Mary's birthplace, the final stop, and crowning glory of a 6-day tour of Australia with husband King Frederick.
Thanks for coming to Australia. So exciting to get to see you.
Got to shake her hand and it was really special. And I look up to her because I'm a leader at my school and I'm SRC, so I look up to her.
A late afternoon stroll down a historic waterfront promenade, arguably the most special moment of the royal tour. Crowds of Tasmanians who'd lined up for long before the couple arrived thought so.
Asked if I'd been to Copenhagen and I said I had. And he said, I hope the weather was fantastic. I said it was.
So what was it like to be up close to Queen Mary?
Yeah, wonderful. I think Ivy enjoyed it the most as well. She's been very patient waiting for her.
Special for Tasmanians hoping to come up against our own connection to a European royalty house. And for a queen on tour, a journey back to reality of where it all began. Ruby Cairns, 7 News.
And it was the waterfront meet and greet which stole the show on a packed day for the royal couple. But there was more than waving to the crowds involved. The King and Queen earlier touring some of Tasmania's environmental projects and businesses.
No need for a Tassie tour guide because this royal is already right at home, even expressing concern for some thirsty trees at Government House. Here, Queen Mary and King Frederick were officially welcomed to Tasmania with a traditional cleansing ceremony, taking to the water a royal wave and a trip down memory lane. The former Taroona High student pointing out her old school.
Oh, absolutely. It couldn't have been a more perfect day for it.
Nostalgia giving way to nature, Mary getting her hands dirty the Tassie way. Her king capturing the moment, a pic for back home.
It was a new experience. I haven't done that before, but it's very interesting to learn about the importance of the biodiversity and ecosystems of this area.
There is a business edge to this tour, the royals admiring a showcase of Tasmanian innovation at Incat, the shipbuilder steaming ahead with the construction of 3 electric ferries destined for Denmark.
They'll be Europe's largest electric ferries when they're produced.
Incat's world-leading innovation was on full display as the royal couple toured the shipyard, admiring the Tassie technology that will power Denmark's new ferries. How was that?
Fantastic. Very proud of a Tasmanian achievement and a Tasmanian company. Wonderful.
Closely following every step, the Danish media.
It's like no other state visit I've covered with the royal couple. This is just so different. They are so at ease here.
She's, I think, thrilled to be back in Tasmania, and this is really important, I think, for her country and for ours in terms of their relationship between Australia and Denmark.
A quick stop outside Hobart at New Norfolk's Agrarian Kitchen, taking in its impressive garden. Before a must-do for all visitors, no Tassie trip would be complete without a visit to the famous Museum of Old and New Art. Hobart's museum royalty coming face to face with the Danish monarchy. Lily Thompson, 7 News.
And for the latest, reporter Ruby Cairns joins us now live from Government House. Ruby, the royal visit isn't quite over just yet.
Yeah, that's right, Kim. The royal tour is ending the same way it began this morning, and that's here at Government House behind me. Now, the pair have come from, as you saw, a meet and greet, which was so beautiful to see the way that, you know, Queen Mary has so affected so many Tasmanians in so many different ways. Now, the reason they're here tonight, it's a little more formal. They're attending a state reception where King Frederick is expected to make a few short remarks. They're joined by Governor Barbara Baker, of course, government representatives, and a room full of Tasmania's key figures. It's safe to say it's a pretty exclusive guest list, but it's been a big day of engagements, so tonight marks a more formal end to proceedings. And with that, it wraps up the official Tasmanian leg of the tour, saving perhaps the most personal stop until last. Now, there is still some suggestion the Queen could spend a little more time here privately. Of course, she's got her dad and two sisters still here in Hobart, and you know, one day just doesn't seem like enough time for a family visit, but that's all being kept very hush-hush, Kim.
I'm sure enjoy some private time for the two of them. Thank you very much there, Ruby. Well, let's turn our attention now to the day's other local news. And the Skills Minister has been grilled over potential job and course cuts at TasTAFE as the education provider tries to save tens of millions of dollars. Tempers also boiling over between the Treasurer and an independent MP, marking a fiery end to the parliamentary week.
As TasTAFE targets mass savings, fears are growing jobs and course cuts will follow.
How many TAFE courses are you cutting and how many staff are you sacking?
We've been really clear. We want to continue to invest to build and grow TasTAFE.
The Skills Minister copping a barrage of questions after the Institute's CEO revealed plans to claw back $45 million and narrow and refine its offerings.
Which courses will be cut and how many teachers and staff will lose their jobs?
I could talk about the investments in your old trade, in automotive. If the things in the Senate don't work out for you, there might be some courses as well to do.
That is, frankly, the most shameful answer I've seen from a minister in this place since I have been here. How many teachers and staff at TasTAFE are going to be losing their jobs?
But no clear answer, while the government maintains it's increased TasTAFE's operational funding and that it needs to stay within its budget.
Our understanding is it's only 1.5%. That's not keeping up with CPI. We have operational costs that are continually increased,
leaving staff anxious about what the changes might mean for them.
We've got staff very concerned and members concerned.
But concerns around the future of TasTAFE wasn't the only thing that got politicians riled up in Parliament today. Tensions flaring between independent Christy Johnston and Treasurer Erica Betts over gambling harm reduction policy.
Treasurer, I'd like a clear answer, please, about the origins of your ticket in, ticket out and returning ATMs to gaming venues policy.
This isn't an interest in harm minimisation. It is an interest
Honourable Leader of the Greens
in abolishing that.
Order!
The heated exchange prompting a caution from the Speaker.
I do ask all members in this place to be respectful in their contributions.
An unceremonious question time on a day of royal celebration. Anthony Dodd, 7 News.
The battle lines have been drawn in Australia's fight for fuel, and the Prime Minister has handpicked his chief to get a handle on it. That appointment, as petrol giants are put on notice for ripping Australians off, and the PM tells the US President the job in Iran is done.
Anthony Albanese tells Donald Trump, "You've won this war."
The objectives of denying Iran the opportunity to have a development of a nuclear weapon have been secured. So that was objective number one.
And now it's time for de-escalation.
I'm hopeful that you can see an end point.
A hope fuelled by a fuel crisis, appointing Anthea Harris, former Australian Energy Regulator CEO and Climate Change Authority Chair, the country's new fuel czar, working with the states and territories to ensure supplies get to where they're needed.
Our fuel supply is currently secure. However, I want us to be over-prepared.
I'm not against having a task force if that's going to solve the problem. The Prime Minister should step in
I've been saying that for days.
519 million litres have been pumped from reserves into the regions over the past 24 hours, as the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Penny Wong hit the phones to Korea, Japan, Singapore and Malaysia, suppliers of 90% of Australia's refined fuel. Their message: keep the petrol coming in and we'll keep the LNG going out to you.
I want to assure Australians at this time that Australia is well prepared.
The ACCC taking the unusual step of publicly announcing it's investigating Big Oil, Ampol, Viva, BP and Mobil over alleged anti-competitive behaviour. The claim: pricing independent rural suppliers out of diesel.
If there has been anti-competitive conduct, of course, the people who've done it should be dealt with the full force of the law.
The government's not on top of it. Now it's asking the ACCC to fix the situation.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers now warning the war could push inflation through 5%, and that would force interest rates even higher. The Treasurer also warning climate change and Donald Trump's tariffs are pounding productivity, setting the 1.2% goal back 3 years to 2030 and slashing economic growth. More reason to tighten the belt.
We will make hard decisions in this May budget.
As unemployment rose to 4.3% in February, but 48,000 new jobs were created. And on electricity,
potentially some welcome news for customers.
Falls anticipated of up to 10% in the default price for households.
And decreases for business customers between 7.6% and 21.2%.
Though a protracted war could short-circuit those savings. Anthony Albanese's statement today is significant. A trusted ally telling Donald Trump it's time to end this war. Of course, the US President probably won't listen to the Australian Prime Minister alone, but he might if this builds into a chorus of allied voices all calling for an end. The impacts of this war have gone way beyond the borders of the Middle East, pounding the pockets of voters around the world, and Western governments want it to end, and quickly. Kim?
It certainly shows how small the world is when it comes to geopolitics. Mark Riley in Canberra, thank you. Well, Donald Trump's support for Israel appears to be wavering tonight. The US President criticising an attack on the world's biggest gas field owned by Iran. Desperate for revenge, Iran struck out, hitting a gas facility in Qatar in what is quickly becoming an energy war.
A key Qatari LNG facility burns. Multiple hits, flames dotting the horizon. Iran's strike on its neighbour, revenge for this, an Israeli attack on the South Pars gas field. The world's biggest, half Iranian owned. It sparked fury, a major hit to Iran's and world supply. Donald Trump, quick to post the US, knew nothing about it, blaming Israel for having violently lashed out, vowing no more attacks will be made by Israel on the key gas field. Rare cracks in the alliance, maybe the administration too.
We got a problem. We know that we have a problem. We're doing everything that we can to address it.
But even as Donald Trump oversaw the return of 6 more American bodies, intelligence chiefs were insisting they had to act.
If left unimpeded, they would have the ability to range missiles to the continental U.S.
Iran mourning its losses too. A mass funeral come rally for assassinated security chief Ali Larijani, alongside other leaders killed. But here, celebrations, a hero's welcome for the footballers back from Australia. But even as they trod on the flags of Iran's enemies, fears their future will not be safe. But there are signs of growing public resistance. Iranians turning on the Basij secret police at checkpoints, even secretly messaging Israel with the locations.
Reports too that the Gulf states are quietly offering their support and encouragement for the US-Israel operation, knowing if it fails, the Iranian regime will become an even bigger threat to this region.
Gulf foreign ministers meeting in Saudi Arabia, their phones buzzing with security alerts. More missiles hit Israel again overnight, 4 Palestinians killed, as Israel's Air Force continued strikes in the heart of Beirut. Claims it was home to Hezbollah operatives. They'd sent a warning first. In Jordan, Chris Reason, 7 News.
Well, now to Europe correspondent Jacqueline Robson in Tel Aviv. And Jackie, Israel has launched an attack now that could anger Russia.
Yes, Kim, the Israeli military has struck deep into northern Iran at Bandar Enzali, pushing the war zone to the Caspian Sea, which is also bordered by Russia. The target, a naval base there. Russia also uses that facility as a key route to funnel weapons from Tehran to Moscow to be used in the Ukraine war, a major expansion in the war's geographic scope and one that could also anger Moscow. Plus, Kim, Chris just mentioned the meeting between foreign ministers of Gulf nations. That's now finished. They've essentially asked Iran to stop attacking them. They say the strikes on civilian and residential areas cannot be justified.
Thank you very much there, Jackie. Well, closer to home now, and the Australian Army has been put on standby as Cyclone Narelle barrels towards Queensland's far north. Right now, it's a Category 5 storm, packing wind gusts of 295 kilometres an hour. It's set to stay at that strength when it makes landfall tomorrow. Police are door-knocking communities with mass evacuations underway. Well, Tasmanian-born professor and former Australian of the Year Richard Scolyer isn't letting cancer hold him back. He's on a marathon cycling mission around the country. We'll meet him next. Also ahead, mountaintop tragedy, a deadly cable car disaster in the Swiss Alps. And spot the imposter. The furry intruder settles in with soft toy souvenirs at Hobart Airport's gift shop. A Woolworths car park in Launceston CBD has flooded after a vehicle crashed into a pipe. Bystanders filming the moment, a massive water gushed out of a burst main, flooding the undercover area yesterday afternoon. Despite the incident, the supermarket says it was business as usual inside and quickly fixed. A ski resort in central Switzerland has been rocked by a shocking cable car incident. One woman was killed when the gondola she was in detached from the cable and plummeted down a mountain.
A frightening freak accident. A cable car tumbling down a mountainside. Witnesses watching in horror as the car overturns again and again. It happened at a ski resort in Engelberg, Switzerland. The gondola detaching from the cable above and plunging down the slope. Authorities confirming only one person was on board, a 61-year-old local woman who died of her injuries. Police saying the entire system was shut down and passengers evacuated from the other gondolas on the lift. It's been a shocking season in the Alps. The new year began with a deadly fire in a bar. More than 40 people were killed, many of them teenagers. Then came a series of fatal avalanches. What caused this deadly gondola accident is under investigation, but strong winds were reported in the area at the time. Rob Scott, 7 News.
Well, still overseas, and a deadly meningitis outbreak has health officials on high alert in the UK. It's believed to have started in a nightclub in Kent. A cluster of 20 cases has been identified. A high school student and 21-year-old university student dying after contracting the virus. A mass vaccination drive is underway with thousands of students lining up to receive the jab. A man has been arrested after climbing into the enclosure of the world's most famous pygmy hippo, Mudang. He was caught approaching her and her mother, Jonah, while no keepers were around at a zoo in Thailand. Staff called the police and the man has been charged with trespassing. The zoo is considering legal action. Meantime, Finland is the happiest country in the world for a record 9th year in a row. That's at least according to the academics at Oxford University. It topped the list of more than 140 countries where Gallup asked people to evaluate their lives.
They have wealth, but they redistribute it very equally, thanks to a wonderful welfare state.
One concerning find was a marked decline in well-being among young people in English-speaking countries, particularly girls, linked to heavy social media use. A woman who mowed down her ex-husband with her car has been found guilty of manslaughter. Samantha Hooker killed her former partner in an emotional outburst after years of abuse. Today she walked free from court, but could soon be behind bars.
Samantha Hooker was composed as she emerged from an emotional 3-week trial. Minutes earlier, she was wailing and struggled to stand on her own when the jury found her not guilty of murder.
Samantha, did you want to say anything about the verdict?
But she was found guilty of manslaughter.
How have the past few years been?
It was plagued by domestic violence at the hands of her ex-husband, her trial heard, which ended when she hit Peter Hooker with her car and threw him against the brick wall at Schofields in 2023. He spent days on life support before dying of an infection weeks later. Their marriage was tumultuous and toxic. Hooker confided in a psychiatrist. When he was drunk a lot. He'd drink every day. There was physical violence. If I did not have sex with him, he would pin me by the throat. He'd be nasty, push me down, force me to do sexual things.
Samantha Hooker never denied killing her ex-husband, but she did have a partial defence, a momentary loss of self-control. Because of the abuse she had endured for years, she lashed out during an emotional episode, not through an act of hate or revenge. Is there a message for other DV survivors?
Samantha Hooker's bail was continued, but she will return next week, where the prosecution will attempt to have her taken into custody ahead of being sentenced later this year. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
A brain cancer battle certainly isn't holding former Australian of the Year Richard Scolyer back. The Tasmanian-born professor is riding 1,400 kilometres on the Tour de Cure, which today brought him through his hometown.
All smiles after riding 167 kilometres from Cradle Mountain. A homecoming for Professor Richard Scolyer on the Tour de Cure's Tassie leg.
My dad, he's got brought up on a farm just up the hill there that we went past.
He's joining the 1,400 kilometre cross-country cycling tour to raise money for cancer, while himself famously battling an aggressive brain cancer.
Well, it's hard work, and I guess it's always hard work, but I've got my own battles with other things that don't make it any easier, that's for sure.
It was a warm welcome for the peloton on a drink stop at the Bridgenorth Parrots. Richard's their #1 ticket holder, the club chipping in more than $5,000 to the cause.
The Scolyers are royalty at Bridgenorth, basically. They, without Richard's great uncle Ellis was our founding coach back in 1925. There were 7 Scolyers in our first flag in 1929.
Drenched in sweat and with tired legs, there's a great vibe amongst the riders who are keen to support the cause. Since the Tour de Cure's inception, has raised more than $158 million for cancer research and support.
Everyone's having tough times, but if everyone comes together, supports each other, raises the profile, and you can make a difference to society and ultimately mankind.
Nick Kelly, 7 News.
Well, passengers at Hobart Airport have been treated to a surprise wildlife encounter. A cheeky possum was found nestled up in a terminal gift shop, fitting in among the plush toys on display.
We see that from time to time. They really are curious animals, incredibly adaptable. This one obviously just wanted somewhere warm and snuggly to curl up for the night.
And the special guest has since been safely relocated to the great outdoors. Well, Kyle Sandilands has opened up on his war with his radio bosses. Our exclusive chat with him is after the break. And a unique travelling animal hospital drums up funding support for injured wildlife. If you're just joining us, here's a recap of what's making headlines this Thursday. Tasmanians turn out en masse to welcome Queen Mary home to Hobart. Jam-packed schedule takes the Danish royals on a tour of the best of the city. And political tensions flare. The Skills Minister is grilled over potential cuts to courses and jobs at TasTAFE. Well, a man in his 20s is being questioned by police over a ferocious blaze at a youth centre in the Queensland city of Toowoomba. Residents woke to the sound of exploding glass when the flames took hold around 1 a.m. The orange glow of the fire could be seen for kilometres. It took crews hours to bring it under control. The almost 60-year-old building destroyed. No charges have been laid yet. Well, a final low act by notorious killer Bradley Murdoch has been revealed in a top-end coroner's court. The parents of victim Peter Falconio recorded a video message pleading with Murdoch to reveal where their son's body is. But when cold case police visited him on his deathbed in Alice Springs Hospital, he wouldn't watch it. Murdoch died from stage 4 cancer last July while serving a life sentence for Falconio's 2001 murder. A travelling animal hospital has made its way to Bonorong Wildlife Sanctuary as part of a 7-week national tour. The team behind the one-of-a-kind truck hopes the road trip could lead to more funding.
Australia's one and only mobile wildlife hospital. Matilda, the 22-wheeler, is purpose-built to assess and treat injured wildlife in the harshest of conditions.
A hospital that can go to those locations, whether it's fires, whether it's floods, whether it's disease outbreak.
The Wildlife Recovery Australia team are in the middle of a road trip across the country, today arriving at Bonorong Wildlife Sanctuary, showing off its capabilities while pushing for federal funding towards wildlife rescue and rehabilitation services.
We really do need to send a strong message to the federal government that this is a sector that's in crisis at the moment.
Among their stops, Parliament House, where they engage with ministers and MPs to spread their message. As for Bonorong, it's entirely funded through ticket sales and donations.
The precautions that we need to take to protect them from infection and to protect our people from the risk of infection, it doesn't come at no cost.
Matilda will make the trip up north to cross the Bass Strait tonight, where she will continue her national tour into Victoria.
We'll have covered every state and territory of Australia, bar the Northern Territory, but I've got plans for that later.
Billy Gibbons, 7 News.
Olympic cyclist Rowan Dennis has made a controversial return to social media, posting a picture of a luxury Porsche with the caption, "What an absolute weapon." It's the first time the Olympian has posted publicly since he was sentenced over the driving incident that killed his wife.
Fresh from the school run, Olympic cyclist Rowan Dennis races straight into his garage.
Rowan, do you have anything to say about the posts on social media?
That post, a picture of his $300,000 Porsche with the caption, "What an absolute weapon." Today, his interaction with the media just as bizarre.
You're amazing. I love you. Hello.
It's the first time Dennis has posted publicly since he was handed a suspended sentence over the driving incident that killed his wife. Fellow Olympian Melissa Hoskins died after being struck by a different car Dennis was driving outside the couple's Medindi home in 2023.
This post is deeply offensive and one that demonstrates a lack of empathy and insight.
What would you like to say about calling a car a weapon, Rowan?
Morning. Have a good day, guys.
Later, he even shared our interaction, posting this security vision.
Do you believe a car is a weapon?
And this, another bizarre post, also calling his kids two absolute weapons.
Rowan Dennis is right now on a 2-year good behaviour bond, and despite boasting about his luxury car which sits in this garage, he's banned from driving it until the end of 2028.
You would absolutely hope that Mr Dennis understands the harm that his actions have now had and would now delete the post.
Thank you very much.
Mitchell Sariovsky, 7 News.
Shock jock Kyle Sandilands has spoken exclusively to 7 News as he plots a path to return to his audience. But there's now double trouble at radio network ARN, with the inferno engulfing Kiss FM spreading to its other station, Gold.
Breaking radio silence, speaking for the first time since having his $100 million contract ripped up.
A lot of people obviously keen to know what your future is.
Yeah, we're all keen. I'm keen to know as well. As far as I'm concerned, we're challenging the termination or the breaking of the contract, and we'll go from there.
Kyle Sandilands clearly wants to say so much, but can't.
Has it been a very stressful time for you?
It's not emotional, it's just annoying.
Yep.
It's annoying that you have a contract and then it gets sort of taken from under you.
But Kyle and Jackie O go out as winners. The year's first radio ratings show the pair still blitzed FM breakfast, only beaten overall by Ben Fordham on 2GB. All eyes on the next survey to see how Kiss copes without its blockbuster breakfast and whether its audience wanders.
Everything is up for grabs in Sydney breakfast now because there's no obvious place for that Kyle and Jackie O show audience to go.
ARN's move to network Kyle and Jackie O was the beginning of the end for the pair. They landed in Melbourne like a lead balloon. Now it's taking the same gamble with Gold beaming Christian O'Connell into Sydney from a studio a stone's throw from the MCG. That's not working either.
Breakfast darlings Jonesy and Amanda were booted to drive to make way for O'Connell in January. Since then, more than a third of the audience has walked.
I think that would be a real disappointment for ARN.
Smooth is still Sydney's most listened to station across the day, just ahead of 2GB, followed by Kiss, Nova, then Gold, as Sydney prepares to reset the dial.
I gotta go because I want to cause a dispute in the neighbourhood as the cars line up.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Tom Saker, 7 News.
Well, growing numbers of Australian children are taking tutorials online, but are they effective? I'll have that story next. And Australia's billionaire rich list revealed. Find out who tumbled out of the top 10 this year after the break.
Fuel relief is here. 7 News is giving away $20,000 worth of petrol nationwide. Tonight is your last chance. Jump onto 7news.com.au/free fuel now and enter tonight's code word DRIVER for your chance to win a $250 voucher. Congratulations to all our winners this week and thanks for entering.
Could detecting Alzheimer's be as simple as using a nasal swab? New research out of America's Duke University seems to point to yes. A team of doctors and scientists have been using a small brush to reach the back of a patient's nose in an area near the brain. The cell tissue is then analysed for early signs of the disease.
The act of taking the swab or biopsy is pretty easy, and the analysis that we've been able to do on these biopsies does show that changes are definitely detectable, early.
Dementia is one of Australia's leading causes of death. Drugs approved in recent years have been shown to help slow the progression of Alzheimer's, but they're most effective when started in early stages. It's a devastating disorder which strikes mothers without warning. But what if doctors could predict postpartum depression before it happens? An Australian scientist believes she's done just that. With a world-first test, she hopes could even prevent it.
By the time mothers learn they have it, it's often too late to do much about it.
Like a ton of bricks that fell on me. I just didn't know where to go.
Postpartum depression, the thief of joy bursting the newborn baby bubble. If a test could tell you before having a child, would you take it?
When can I take it? I'm a very data-driven person, and having as much knowledge available to me is power.
The partners themselves who come to me and say, even if my partner or my wife doesn't want to know, I want to know because I want to be able to be there for her.
Dr. Clarissa Yates is a scientist and a mother who went through this twice and wanted to know why.
I was trying to understand the relationship between the brain and the blood.
By analysing blood samples from pregnant women at the Mater Hospital, she identified a panel of 12 proteins that predict postpartum depression with 94% accuracy. Now work is underway to turn those findings into a mainstream routine blood test so women will know if they're at risk from as early as 6 months pregnant.
If these mums are flagged early in their pregnancy, they may not go on to develop postpartum depression. A lot of the interventions you can do is really quite simple.
The research has been funded by investors and the Queensland Government. The test could be available as early as next year. For women pregnant now, further trials are underway. To find out more, the details are on our Facebook page. Amanda Abate, 7 News.
Our richest Aussies have been revealed. Mining magnate Gina Rinehart once again came out on top in the Australia's richest 250 with an estimated fortune of $41.6 billion. She was followed by real estate tycoon Harry Tregerboff and paper and packaging boss Anthony Pratt. Clive Palmer and Canva founder Cliff Obrecht rounded out the top 5. Former Seven chairman Kerry Stokes returned to the top 10, pipping Atlassian tech duo Scott Farquhar and Mike Cannon-Brooks, who've lost $35 billion between them this year. Let's take a look at the markets now, and it's brought to you by MCMF Investment and Lending. And the Australian stock market has taken a dive, with oil surging after fresh strikes on infrastructure in the Middle East. The ASX 200 index fell 142 points, wiping 50 billion from the market. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 70 US cents and 112 Japanese yen. A hit to comfort for Jetstar international passengers, with Qantas locking most travellers from the low-cost carrier out of lounges from July 1. Platinum 1 members, code-share flights and domestic Jetstar flights are unaffected, whereas complimentary passes can now only be shared with passengers travelling on the same flight. The move aims to ease overcrowding and crack down on resale. Well, all parents want to see their children thrive at school, and tutoring has grown into $1 billion industry. Now, online-only platforms are making it more accessible and affordable. But how do the virtual lessons stack up against in-person learning?
4 days a week, Rahanshi Walia has extra lessons after school.
For math, thinking skills, writing and English.
1 in 7 Australian children will have a tutor throughout their schooling, a booming industry driven by parents trying to keep kids ahead or keep up.
Student learning outcomes are declining. Children are much more attached to their screens.
Getting extra help has never been easier with thousands of providers.
Especially with younger children, there's still a lot of value in having an in-home tutor, but online is very popular.
Without travel, it's cheaper. $59 for an hour online with Alchemy tuition compared to $89 for in-person. Hourly rates on LearnMate start at $30 but average $65. Online-only Modi Do offers a weekly subscription from $70.
Within that plan, they have weekly sessions, they have a community hub, they can ask questions 24/7, resources, and of course access to the platform.
But does it stack up?
Any mode of tutoring will be an absolute huge benefit.
When I first started, I was only getting about 50s, 60s. Last year, I was averaging about 80 to 90 across all subjects.
Quality and safety can vary between providers, so parents should do their homework. Check a tutor's qualifications, experience and working with children credentials.
Parents need to know exactly what they're buying.
Georgia Holland, 7 News.
No tutoring needed for this man. Nick Kelly joins us now with sport. Good evening to you, Nick. Now, a local basketball gun is switching codes.
Yeah, North Melbourne's picked him up off the court, Kim. That's coming up next. Plus, the Devils CEO pours a bit of cold water on some contract rumours. And here, Ross Lyon's pointed message, the critics taking aim at his Saints. Amid swirling rumours of an impending signature, Devils CEO Brendan Gale is sceptical that Nick Dacos will end up running out in a Devils jumper.
I could imagine we could offer him a compelling package, but we need to consider our overall risk profile, our list profile. We need to be balanced, and we certainly can't put all our stocks in one player, notwithstanding what a great player Nick Dacos is.
Gale telling agenda setters that lifestyle will be one of the big selling points when they start trying to lure big names to Hobart. The Swans' depth will be tested without Isaac Heaney and Errol Golden, who we spoke to their captain Callum Mills a short time ago.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guys coming in tonight, which we just expect them to come in and play their role. We don't ask for too much. They're great players, but we back the guys coming in tonight.
What sort of confidence you get out of the first 2 weeks that you can take into tonight?
Yeah, great confidence. We've obviously sort of tweaked our game plan a little bit and been able to do it pretty well throughout the first 2 games, so we're just trying to back it in again tonight.
Ross Lyon's taken bizarre swipe at strong criticism after sliding to 0-2. The Saints coach saying it's not his job to protect players from scrutiny after the club's winless start to the season.
Pressure building at 0-2, the Saints desperately searching for an early season caffeine hit. Only one sugar for Ross.
That's why it's AFL and it's high performance and it's abnormal. If you want normal, well, you step the other side of this microphone, the other side of the fence on the ground, and you pursue mediocrity in your life.
The club insistent his mediocrity comment was directed at the players, not the public, coming after increased heat on big money stars Tom De Koning and Nazaya Wanganeen-Millera, and where the players need more protection.
It's not our job, we just support people. That's why AFL football's abnormal. It's not like what you do, you're not under scrutiny.
Captain Cal Wilkie named despite spending the morning indoors. After a turbulent off-season in which he tried to take off from Tullamarine, former captain Zach Merritt has come full circle now in discussions about a contract extension.
My only involvement is, would you like to have Zach here long term? And that's a pretty simple answer. It's a resounding yes.
That's despite Merritt's open desire to play in finals and Brad Scott's short-term forecast of pain.
probably one of the younger, more inexperienced Essendon teams I'll ever coach. It's only going one way from here for us. Where we are right now, at our best, I still think there's an obvious gap between, where the best teams in the competition are and where we are.
Isaac Kako's back to face the Power while the waiting game continues for defender Jordan Ridley. And Collingwood captain Darcy Moore continues to work back from a bad calf injury, with hopes he'll be fully fit to face the Giants in round 3. Theo Duropoulos, 7 News.
Recent speculation has proven correct. Tassie basketballer Lachlan Brewer is switching codes. North Melbourne confirming today they've signed the 20-year-old Launceston product as a Category B rookie. Leaving the college system, he's reportedly turned down lucrative basketball opportunities in the US to live out his AFL dream. Demons coach Stephen King says we're only scratching the surface, seeing the Pickett cousins in action. Latrell showed glimpses of the good and bad connecting with Cozzy in Sunday's win over the Saints.
They're going to do things that I think at times we'll all go, how's that even possible? And then I think sometimes they'll make the easy look a bit more difficult than it has to, but I think that's the magic, and that's what will bring people through the gates to watch us play as a footy club. So we'll embrace that. It's pretty magical.
The Demons head west for a clash with Freo on Saturday night. The Matildas are undaunted by the enormity of the task that awaits in the Asian Cup final. Tournament favourites Japan couldn't have been any more impressive in last night's 4-1 drubbing of South Korea, the team that held the Matildas to a draw in the group stage.
They're just a great team, so it's something we're going to have to be so ready for, and it's a massive challenge, but we're excited for it. On the day of the final, anything can happen, and it's about who wants it more.
Aussie singer-songwriter G-Flip will perform before Saturday night's final at Stadium Australia. Tony Popovic has doubled down on his promise to never sell the Socceroos short. Asked today about former Sydney FC prodigy Adrian Sejecic's surprise defection to Croatia, Popovic basically said, good riddance.
I promise a player at 20 or 21 that he has to play, and if they don't, I have to fear that he will leave. It's probably better for Adrian that he's gone.
The Socceroos play friendlies against Cameroon and Curaçao later this month as they build towards the World Cup in North America. Claimed the round of 16 tie 4-1 on aggregate. Barcelona also booked their spot in the last 8, thumping Newcastle United 8-2. And that is your night in sport, Kim.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick. Kiah Wicks is next with the weather forecast.
Good evening. It was a glorious autumn day across the island today, turning on a ray of sunshine fit for Danish royalty. Launceston today took our maximum of 25.6. Our overnight low was 0.8 at Laiweni. Now across the Apple Isle, 24 at Friendly Beaches and Huonville, Ouse 23, 22 in Smithton, Devonport, St Helens and Hobart 21, 20 on Flinders Island. King Island, Burnie and Laiweni also delivering 19. Not much happened across the satellite image today. Some light cloud lifted this morning and some fog too. There are a few light showers about the southwest and northeast. Otherwise, it was sunny and clear throughout. Now tomorrow, a cold front flips to the south of Tasmania. Meanwhile, a ridge of high pressure continues to dominate the majority of the nation. Tropical cyclone Narelle is currently at Category 5 as it approaches Cape York and is likely to make landfall tomorrow morning. Across the nation, Broome, Darwin and Canberra are all in for heavy falls tomorrow. A few showers too in Brisbane and Sydney, 34 and fine in Perth. Cloud blanketing Melbourne tomorrow with 22. To coastal waters now, north-northwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, increasing later to 25 knots. Southwesterly swells at 2 to 3 metres with no warnings to report for tomorrow. Partly cloudy in the southeast this Friday, 25 in Campania, Sorell, Hobart, Kingston, Huonville and Dover all 23. Cloudy in Bushy Park, 20 is the top. A little cloudy too in the north and east, 25 in Launceston, Swansea and St Helens 24, 23 in St Mary's, Laiweni 19 with partly cloudy skies all round. Relatively fine across the northwest, although a few light showers in Straw 19, Burnie 24, 21 on King Island and at Devonport, Queenstown and Tarraleah 20 and 17 at Lake St Clair. Saturday, isolated showers about the southwest and far south. Isolated showers about the north on Sunday. That should clear throughout the evening. And on Monday, showers about the west and far south, extending to remaining districts in the afternoon. To the week ahead, Hobart and Lonnie can look forward to more fine conditions across the weekend before showers return on Monday. 10 to 15 mils are expected to fall in Devonport and Burnie on Tuesday. We'll take a look now at our current temperatures this evening. Kim, it's been a great day in Hobart and we welcome the Royals. Good evening.
You turn the weather on. Thank you, Kiah. And that is our bulletin for tonight. We leave you with more pictures from the Royal visit from today. Thanks for your company tonight, everyone. Good night.